so that all of the first years have access to it later. So I'll hit the broadcast button, and hopefully we'll have some people who join us. They, I think, sometimes feel a little bit of intimidation about joining a webinar live. They're like, oh, what if I don't have any good questions, or what if I can't keep up with what's going on? But I think the feedback we've received is that the videos online have been helpful. So that's, I think, good. I have a younger brother who is a first year at Elon in North Carolina. And my mom has been sort of sending me like, oh, this is what's helpful from the parent perspective. So I sort of leaned into the more information, the better sort of sense.
Absolutely.
Makes sense.
But you two must be busy prepping the library and getting everything ready for the first module.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff going on over the summer, a lot of moving of furniture, those kinds of things.
Oh yeah, I can't even, I bet it looks so different now.
It does.
I'll be
changing
interested to see.
services. Everything's different, especially now with the announcement last week with the quiet period and who will be on campus. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's that was definitely a curveball, I think, for everyone involved.
Right. Well, and doing a capstone in 7.5 weeks.
Yep. I'm doing mine in the second module.
We can help.
I'm gonna need it, so it's much appreciated. Because the idea of doing a paper that long that quickly is very daunting.
It is, and you're going to need to get your materials quickly. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure you can expect to see me in your inbox then. Because I will be, along with every other senior, freaking out.
Exactly. So,
but it's good. It's comforting to know that you guys are there, and that we can get the help that we need. All right. Well, I think I am just going to get us started with some introductions. Hopefully, we'll have some more people trickle in as we go through the meeting. And if not, as always, this will be accessible on the Orientation Plus website. So yeah, let's get started. My name is Morgan. I use she, her, hers. I'm one of your 3 orientation coordinators. You've seen a lot of Jackson Ullman lately, and you maybe have seen a little bit of Teddy as well. We are very busy behind the scenes organizing orientation for you guys, but today we wanted to take another Orientation Plus break and bring you guys more information about resources that are available on campus. And like at any college, one of the most important resources at Macalester is the library, the people in it, the stuff in it, the information you can get. So today we thought it would be helpful to review what the library has to offer sort of in general, and then what some COVID specific policies are going to be. So I will turn you guys over to Beth and to Dave, and they are going to tell you a little bit about what the Whit Wallace Library has to offer.
Great. Thank you, Morgan, for that introduction. I'm Dave, and I use pronouns he, him, his. I'm one of the research and instruction librarians, and I work primarily with the sciences departments. But the beauty of coming to a small liberal arts college is that we do a lot of everything. And so if you can find someone who works in the library, if you have a question, we can certainly, if not answer it, we can get you right to the person who may have the answer to that question that you have. Jumping into things, we are really excited to have all of you joining us here this fall at MAC. And we know that the word joining is going to mean different things to different people. All of us in the library, we may or may not be physically on campus some days, or some days we may be somewhere else, but we're here to support you and do what we can do to help you get started at MAC and go through the process. Physically, the library is going to look a little different than how it looked when you may have visited campus earlier, if you were able to visit campus. Our building now has less furniture in it, and that was one of my lovely jobs more recently. We have separated furniture out. We tried to work really hard to make electrical outlets easily available for everyone. But you'll see that there's less chairs, fewer chairs around, fewer chairs at a table. We're really are going to be encouraging people to, as we call it, practice safe studying, and just be aware of social distancing and who you are around and those kinds of things when you are in the library. There are a couple of classrooms in the library now. There didn't used to be more than just one or so, but those will be functioning every day. So you'll see people coming and going into the building who may have class, as well as others who are just in there to study. Everyone who comes in the front door will be swiping in as part of our efforts to potentially do contact tracing down the road if we need to do that. So you'll become used to it pretty quickly, swiping your ID as you come into the building itself. We also have around 20 or 30 sanitation stations around the building that are set up to help you wipe down a surface as you come in. Think through where it is you might want to be eating in the building. There will be some limited spaces for eating and drinking in the building. We haven't yet decided officially where those will be, but that will be figured out by the time you all start classes and come to campus. One other change to point out is that there are not any publicly accessible computers in the building anymore, no lab spaces. We're just providing spaces for you to bring your laptops in and set yourselves up to study in the building there. If you do need equipment that you might have checked out from the library in the past, that equipment will be available over in the Digital Humanities Center, or the DRC actually, Digital Resource Center. However, there will not be any laptop checkout this year, but other equipment will be available over there in the DRC for checkout. Printing is going to be still available in the library, and there'll be a couple of stations set up on the main level for printing. That's on my list to work out with some other folks this week. Let's see. One other big change is getting access to the books in the building. We're not going to be having people browse the collection in the old kind of way. We're going to be doing online browsing, and you'll be easily routed to a guide that will show you where to go and how to browse online using the library catalog. And then you'll be requesting books through there, which will then be able to be picked up near the main desk on the main level. Or if it's before we're all the way open, we may be doing contactless pickup a few times a week, perhaps. And with that, I will turn you over to Beth Hilleman, my colleague, for some more information about collections and services.
Hey, thank you, Dave. My name is Beth Hilleman, she, her, hers, and I am a research and instruction librarian. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about services and some of what's available to you and some of the changes. So as Dave just mentioned, you won't be able to go and select a book off the shelves. You will need to request that book through our catalog called WorldCat, and somebody will retrieve it for you, and then you'll be able to pick it up. You'll get an email notification about that. You will still be able to browse DVDs. We do have some popular DVDs, and you will be able to browse those. However, you'll still need to request them to actually check them out. So it's kind of an awkward thing, but this is the way that we are going to be able to make our resources accessible to people. Interlibrary loan is a service that's used heavily in our library. This is to be able to get materials from other libraries that we don't own. The majority of what we do through interlibrary loan is article requests, and that is still working absolutely fine. You'll be able to get articles usually within a day when you make the request. For books, it has been slowed down tremendously because there's now a quarantine procedure in place for books that go from library to library. And that means for a book to come back through interlibrary loan, will probably at a minimum be about a week. So in a 7.5 module, a 7.5 week module, that's going to be significant. We are working at some other ways that we might be able to provide resources like books to you that we don't own, but, and I'll show you in a little bit how you can find out the most recent up-to-date information about what's available at the library. The other thing for interlibrary loan to remember is that if all you want is a chapter from a book, and often in our catalog, you can actually look at the table of contents of a book. If there's a particular chapter you want, that we can get really easily through interlibrary loan. All you do is fill in again the request and say what the chapter is from, what book it's from. We will figure out who has it, they'll scan it and send it to us again through email. Help is always available at the library. And so in the same ways as it always has been, chat will be up and staffed by both students and staff. The Ask Us email form has become very popular, and that's monitored by about half the library now. So you get quick responses through that. And then finally, there's a consultation option where you can set up a virtual meeting with one of the research and instruction librarians, and we will help you to figure out how you're going to get the resources you need for a particular paper, how do you structure that paper, all sorts of different questions about how do you accomplish assignments that require library research. I am now going to very briefly share my screen with you because I wanted to show you the website. So I will go to share screen and pull up the library website. And so you should see that on your page. And this is the basic library website. It will look pretty similar to this in the fall. Just a couple of things I wanted to point out to you. This first box here where my cursor has just been, that is the catalog, that WorldCat Discovery. This is where you would look up a title of a book or a subject of a book or a keyword for a book that you'd like to locate and see if we have, and do the request procedure to be able to get it that right away. Below that, you've got these 3 squares. Ask Us leads you to that email form to ask a question. There also will be a chat option. It's turned off right now, but it will be on again once we reach the fall. The book of research consultation, this is how you do that one-on-one with a research and instruction librarian. And then connect to library resources tells you all sorts of different things, including how to get to various resources, how to download an ebook, all sorts of things like that. And finally, this little square here that says COVID FAQ. This is the frequently asked questions list and the most up-to-date information about how we are delivering our services and our collections. Those will be available under this COVID FAQ page. So do explore the library website. There's research guides, there's databases, there's Ask Us again, all sorts of different things for you to look at. So go ahead and feel free to look through that and ask any questions you might have. I'm going to stop the share now. And finally, I wanted to say every first year course receives a library instruction session. It's a requirement of the first year course. So you will see one of the research and instruction librarians in your course in some way. It might be a synchronous meeting, it might be an asynchronous activity, but we will be meeting with you and working with you, especially if there's a research assignment within that first year course. We will be stepping you through that whole process. But of course, if you have something that you need to ask us in the library before that, do feel free to do that. I also want to talk briefly about collections. We have an expanded ebook collection, which is actually part of the reason why the shelves are no longer completely open. We belong to a service that has a bunch of digitized versions of many of our books, about half of our collection, a little bit less than half. In order for us to make that digitized version available to everybody due to copyright, we actually need to make sure that the physical version is not available. So we have opened up a vast array of books in an ebook format, but that's why we are retrieving books, physical books from the collection. I wanted to mention textbooks because you might hear from older students all about the wonderful Macalester Student Government Textbook Program that puts textbooks on reserve or course materials on reserve. Unfortunately, this is a victim of COVID. We will not have any library reserves physically located in the library, and the MCSG textbook program they're kind of working to see if there's a way they can morph it into something else, but right now they cannot purchase an e-book version of textbooks because of licensing restrictions. E-textbooks can only be licensed to one student at a time. It can't be used by multiple students. So you might hear, people telling you, you don't need to buy your textbooks, you can just go and use the textbooks in the library, but unfortunately we're not able to offer that service this year, so be prepared for that. I think that's everything about textbooks. So we are ready for any questions anybody might have.
So I'll start you guys off, and I'll ask a question that I think might be on a lot of first years' minds. As of last week, we learned that there's going to be a sort of a brief quiet period for the first 2 weeks that we're on campus. What's what's going to be happening with the library during that quiet period? Will it be available to study in, or just for more, necessary things like printing and picking up textbooks?
Mhm. That's a great question. And we are still working out our final arrangements for that quiet period. For sure, there will be the option to pick up books that you might request online, place a hold, and then you'd come in and be able to pick up a book. As far as being able to spend time within the building and study within the building, that I just do not know the answer to yet. And we're still consulting with others on campus to determine the answer to that question. Once we know,
Absolutely.
we'll certainly get that up within our frequently asked questions section on our site.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat, but I think that for any audience members who may have joined late or anyone who's watching this video as a recording, the library's website, which I posted in the chat and will also be posted alongside this video on the Orientation Plus website, is a great place to keep up with all the information. Like Dave said, when they're making new decisions, making new plans, that's going underneath the FAQ page. So that is an excellent place to, get quick answers to your questions. And if you have any more specific questions, like Beth pointed out, there's an Ask Us form that you can fill out on the website. And it seems like that is getting a lot of attention within the library, so someone will definitely get back to you shortly.
That's right. There's sort of this informal competition amongst the staff as to who gets to those questions first. So, we say within 24 hours, but it probably will be faster than that.
So not only are your emails welcome, they're in fact encouraged to perpetuate a little light competition among the library staff.
Exactly.
Well, thank you both so much for being available to answer questions today. I know that you expressed the orientation team that you're more than open to answer any questions. So if you guys who are watching have questions about the library, feel free to fill out their form on their website or to send us an email at the orientation Gmail, and we will send that along to the library. You have a lot of enthusiastic staff who are already in your corner and want you to succeed in this sort of new territory of virtual learning. So thank you again both so much, and we will see you from a distance in the library this year. Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
Morgan.